chief guest may be arrive very soon in the auditorium. हमारे मुख्य अतिथि और आज के स्पीकर ऑनरेबल वाइस चांसलर ऑफ जवाहरलाल नेहरू यूनिवर्सिटी हम सब के बीच हैं। आप अपने अपने स्थान पर जोरदार करतल ध्वनियों से मैडम का स्वागत। नमस्कार। सर्वप्रथम विद्या की देवी माँ सरस्वती एवं बाबा साहेब भीमराव अंबेडकर जी को नमन करते हुए मैं इस कार्यक्रम का आरंभ करता हूँ। मैं डॉक्टर संजीव शर्मा, एसोसिएट प्रोफेसर, डॉक्टर अंबेडकर इंटरनेशनल सेंटर। रिस्पेक्टेड चीफ गेस्ट and our honorable speaker for this day, Director, Ambedkar International Center. Member Secretary may not become due to some unavoidable reasons. Our Associate Professor, Dr. C. Pujan ji. मैं सभागार में देख रहा हूँ, there are many faculty, our deans from the Jawaharlal Nehru University, many faculty from JNU, University of Delhi, and distinguished participant, a galaxy of intellectuals, a research scholar from Ambedkar International Center and various universities and colleges, students from schools and the colleges. I heartily welcome you all. I also welcome to the participant audience connecting virtually, not only from India, but from the abroad. Welcome you again and again. It is a moment of the extreme pleasure to welcome our esteemed guest and speaker for this Dr. Ambedkar Lecture Series, Honorable Vice Chancellors of the India's topmost university, Jawaharlal Nehru University, Professor santishree Dhulipudi Pandit Madam. We welcome you all. And I am from the JNU, so under her able guidance, you can see that JNU is touching many heights of their success. You can see in many of the world ranking, either NIRF ranking or world QS ranking, JNU is always on the top positions. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your able guidance. I would also like to thank and welcome again our director. And Madam, I will also like to share with you that since the inception of Dr. Ambedkar International Center, this center is continuously conducting various academic and research programs, seminar, conferences, symposiums, and Dr. Ambedkar lecture series and Friday lecture series are among one of the important two, in which various distinguished speakers, not from only India, but abroad, they have delivered their talk. And we are very lucky and we are very happy that today you are here for this, and all our participants will be highly benefited by your presence, ma'am. Before we proceed further, I would like to highlight some of the point here on this auspicious occasion of Dr. Ambedkar contribution for the gender equality. Baba Saheb's dreams of the society is based on the gender equality and inclusive socio-economic growth. The all-round development of women was the topmost agenda, and he left no stone unturned in achieving this goal. You can see many reference either in the form of research articles or in the form of, you can see the Constitution of India. As the chairman of the drafting committee of the Constitution, Ambedkar tried an adequate inclusion of women's rights in the political vocabulary and the Constitution of India. Some of the examples are maternity benefit to the women, where he argued for the rest period required by the mother during the parental period. I would like to quote here from Dr. Ambedkar's 1927, one of the speech which he has given more than 3,000, group of 3,000 women. I want to quote here, I measure the progress of a community by the degree of the progress which women have achieved. Now, proceeding further, भारतीय परंपरा, संस्कृति और संस्कार के अनुसार हमारा कोई भी प्रोग्राम तब तक आरंभ नहीं होता जब तक हमारे हम मुख्य अतिथियों का सम्मान न करें. Now I would like to request our director, please present a planter to Honorable Vice Chancellor of Jawaharlal Nehru University. I request you all, please करतल धलियों से आप स्वागत करें। मैम, ये छोटा सा उपहार डॉक्टर अंबेडकर इंटरनेशनल सेंटर से हैं और इस उपहार के साथ कुछ पंक्तियां मैं आपके समक्ष पढ़ना चाहूँगा जो हिंदी में है। जो करते हैं हौसला मंजिल को पाने का, उनकी ही दुनिया कदरदान होती है। पंख होना ही काफ़ी नहीं, परिंदों के लिए हौसलों से हर उड़ान होती है। मैम, यू आर अ सोर्स ऑफ इंस्पायरेशन, motivation to millions of the people throughout the country. Now, for continue to the further proceeding of this lecture, I would like to humbly request our director, Sri Vikas Trivedi ji. Before I can invite, I can just highlight some of the brief about Dr. Sri Vikas Trivedi ji. He was commissioned in Indian Army in 1998, and he has more than 25 years of experience working in various government organizations dealing in academics, establishment, administration, account, legal, and vigilance, and matter of coordination with various government departments. He is a recipient of many awards, among them some of that Operation Rakshak, Operation Vijay, Operation Parakram Medal, for his role in various military operations. Specifically, during different type of the disaster or the hazards, he has rescued many groups, many soldiers, and he is from the tank regiment, which is one of the the premium important regiment in the Indian Army. So I can say that he's a multitask, multidisciplinary person working in the different area. So he have moves around throughout the country. So he has a lot of information, knowledge about the various cultures, about the different places and all. So I humbly request you, sir, please continue for the further proceeding. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Professor Sanjeev Sharma ji. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Dr. Ambedkar Foundation, Dr. Ambedkar International Center, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, I welcome you all to today's Dr. Ambedkar lecture series. At the outset, I welcome and express my deepest gratitude to our chief guest and special speaker, Professor Santishree Dhulipudi Pandit, the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Jawaharlal Nehru University, for sparing valuable time and consented to grace the occasion by her presence and accepting our request to be part of today's program. I also welcome all the esteemed audience, reputed academicians, participants from various institutions, research scholars, students, and the media persons who are present here today. Ladies and gentlemen, a multi-talented personality like Professor Santishree Dhulipudi Pandit, Honorable Vice Chancellor JNU, does not require any formal introduction. However, I would like to briefly introduce some facets of her persona for the benefit of everyone present here. Professor Santishree Dhulipudi Pandit has been educated in Chennai at a very, very prestigious Presidency College. She is and has been a very bright scholar since her early college times, topping in graduation as well as in her post-graduation, and also a gold medalist of her college. Madam has completed MPhil and PhD in international politics from JNU and did her postdoc in peace and conflict studies from Uppsala University, Sweden. It's a great honor and privilege to inform that Professor Pandit has been appointed as the first woman Vice Chancellor of the great Jawaharlal Nehru University. She has taken over in February this year. She had an illustrious career in academics and research spanning for over more than 3.5 decades, beginning with as a lecturer at Goa University since 1988, and thereafter she shifted to University of Pune, wherein she held many honorary appointments as a member of governing body and academic council in various reputed universities in India as well as abroad. She has published numerous research papers in various reputed journals. She has widely traveled and also completed several major projects in different areas of her expertise. Professor Pandit was the General Secretary of the Pune University Teachers Association and was also elected to the University Senate and Management Council during the tenure. She has been on board of studies as an expert in varied areas of teaching and research like international relations, Asian studies, culture, foreign policy, conflict, violence, and gender issues with several reputed universities. Madam has also served as Vice President and President of the International Political Science Association for a substantial period of time. She has also the honor of being one of the in various committees of the Government of India, like ICSSR, ICCR, IIAS, and many, many more. She has been founding member of so many great organizations of repute. Professor Pandit is a multi-talented. She is well versed with various languages like Telugu, Tamil, Marathi, Hindi, Sanskrit, English, Kannada, Malayalam, and Konkani. I am also delighted to inform the audience that our learned speaker of the day is also recipient of several prestigious awards. Few of them are Vicetex Award for Women Leaders, Veer Savarkar Award for Education, Srimati Sushma Swaraj Stri Shakti Award, Universal Peace Foundation Ambassador of Peace Award, and Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay Award. The other facet of Honorable VC is that ma'am is very humane and compassionate. She has been very much supportive and has helped students to get opportunity for higher studies in various countries. Under her able leadership and guidance, JNU has been ranked as the top second university in the country in a very, very coveted NIRF ranking. A big round of applause for her for this achievement. So today, Professor Pandit will enlighten us with her views on Dr. Ambedkar thoughts on gender studies, gender justice, decoding the Uniform Civil Code. Today's topic is very relevant in the contemporary India because Baba Sahab Dr. B.R. Ambedkar has been one of the prominent progressive thinker of the modern India. Dr. Ambedkar was one of the greatest minds who paved way for socio-economic transformation of India. His praxis and engagements into various academic disciplines and knowledge terrains pertaining to various aspects of human life are globally followed and referred. The basic issue of justice and equality to women are getting trapped in many other contemporary issues like equality and freedom. The implementation of Uniform Civil Code and the issue of gender justice, these two are closely connected to each other in the Indian socio-legal perspective. However, gender issue and justice for women need to be addressed in a very, very serious manner. Now may I request Professor Chantrishri Dhulipudi Pandit, Honorable VC JNU, to please come up to the dais and enlighten us with her views and thoughts on the subject. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor santishree Dhulipudi Pandit. A big round of applause for her. Thank you so much. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Respected Shri Vikas Trivedi, Director of the Dr. Ambedkar International Center under the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, Government of India, Dr. Shiv Pujan Pathak, and our own, Dr. Sanjeev Sharma, and all the faculty who have come from both JNU, Delhi University, and other universities, and students, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I thank Shri Vikas Trivedi and the Dr. Ambedkar International Center in asking me to speak on an issue of extreme importance, according to me. I think Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar is one of the greatest thinkers, social, political, as well as a revolutionary in India as well as the world. He is not just a leader who talked about a particular caste, but a modern India's most important icon. I would also say, if you say that a Brahmin is a person who is very knowledgeable, then I would call Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar as the greatest Brahmin of modern India. And here first, I would like to pay a tribute to our Prime Minister's vision and mission, who during his address at Red Fort on Independence Day, PM Narendra Modi said, truly in the tradition of Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, even after 75 years of independence, if this is the plight, you see what the Prime Minister says. That means what Baba Sahib Ambedkar wanted is still a dream that we have to achieve. He said, to quote, "I have one request to every Indian. Can we change the mentality towards our women in everyday life?" Adding that respect for women is an important pillar for India's growth. He stated, "Pride of Nari Shakti will play a vital role in fulfilling the dreams of India." And I think in many ways, he fulfilled one of the dreams of this great icon who made a paradigm shift in India's thinking by appointing Srimati Draupadi Murmu as the first tribal woman as the President of India, the highest office. Many might say it is just symbolism, but symbols are as important as statements as any other. Now, I want to move into, I'm dividing my speech first as to what I think was Ambedkar's contribution to gender justice and what was his opinion on the Uniform Civil Code. Can we decode it? Did the Hindu Code Bill also mean that because of disagreement within the Constituent Assembly and the Parliament then, was it reduced to just the Hindu Code Bill? This is extremely important, and was Baba Sahib much ahead of his times. Ambedkar paved the way for Indian women to legally vote, divorce, and own property. He was indeed a feminist. If at all we call feminists, I think Ambedkar was not only the father of the Indian Constitution, he was a great freedom fighter, political leader, philosopher, thinker, writer, economist, editor, and revivalist for Buddhism in India. I think that Buddhism is one of the greatest religions. Why do I say it? Because it proves that the Indic civilization accepts dissent, diversity, and difference. Gautama the Buddha was the first dissenter against what we call Brahminical Hinduism. And please understand, he was also the first rationalist in history. When he was asked, "Is there God?" he said, "I don't know." So here we have a tradition that was greatly revived by Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar. And we should be proud that we are part of this civilizational values. So if we see clearly, Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar also was the symbol of revolt against social, economic, as well as gender oppressions. Let me tell you, if you are a woman and if you come from the reserved categories, you're doubly marginalized. First, you're marginalized because you're a woman. Second, you're marginalized because you come from the so-called castes, which are given all types of stereotypes. Unfortunately, there are many people who say caste was not based on birth, but today it is based on birth. If a Brahmin or any other caste is a cobbler, does he immediately become a Dalit? It doesn't. So we have to understand why I'm saying this. I'm saying this because recently in Rajasthan, a young Dalit boy was beaten to death just because he touched the water, didn't even drink, touched the water of the upper caste. I think please understand this is a question of human rights. How can we treat a fellow human being in such a way? Where are all our so-called philosophical things we say? Another thing I also want to place before you, those who say Indic civilization, most of you should know anthropologically, please look at the origins of our gods. No god is a Brahmin. The highest is a Kshatriya. Lord Shiva must be a scheduled caste or a scheduled tribe. Because he sits in a cemetery with a snake and has very little, poor thing, we have given him very little clothes also to wear. I don't think Brahmins can sit in the cemetery. So if you see clearly, the gods, anthropologically, do not come from the upper caste, including Lakshmi, Shakti, all the gods. Or if you take Jagannath, very much a tribal this. So why are we still continuing with this discrimination, which is very, very unhuman? This is something that I want to place before many of us who are thinking individuals, who are very good personally, but we don't protest when something unjust happens. And it is here that I think that it is very important that we are rethinking, reorienting on the thoughts of Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar. I congratulate the Ambedkar International Center for publishing his works, which was initially done by the government of Maharashtra and yours also. And most of you, please read these writings. They are brilliant, absolutely brilliant. We don't have any other leader of modern India who was such a great thinker. And even if he criticizes our traditions, like on the riddles in Hinduism, they are very genuine. It makes us think, are we doing these things? And I think this is extra, because we say Hinduism is not a religion. It is a way of life. So when it's way of life, why are we scared of criticism? And I think he again, like Gautama the Buddha, was one of the first to wake us up on the different, I would say, discriminations that is embedded, structured into our society, which we just do it on a daily basis without even thinking twice about it. In his treatises, The Riddle of the Woman and the Counter-Revolution, The Rise and Fall of the Hindu Women, Castes in India, their mechanisms and development, and through his journals, Mool Nayak and others, if you see very clearly, Dr. Ambedkar tries to show how gender relations and differences are constructed by Hindu Brahminical order, which conditions women have to conform to as a stereotype of feminine behavior, requiring them to be passive and submissive, suited only to a life of domestic and family responsibilities. How very prophetic. See, today also many people tell girls, why do you want to study? After all, you have to get married. That means a man educates himself for a career, a woman educates herself for marriage. This is absolutely, I would say, discriminatory. And this is where Dr. B.R. Ambedkar brought in, he tried to break down the barriers and the way in which the advancement of India can be done. And if most of you know, as rightly said by Dr. Sharma and Dr. Trivedi, that he was one of the first to introduce a lot of bills. But my question is, though we have equality in the Constitution, Article 14 is there, law is ahead of society. Have we socially changed, is my question. Does education really make us think? As Simone de Beauvoir observed, women are made, they are not born. I think Dr. Ambedkar also echoed this idea very clearly. And in most of his book, he challenged most of these stereotypes. And it is this challenge that is very important. He also, if you see, on 6th January 1945, organized the All India Untouchable Women's Conference that was held in Mumbai. And it is here, and he also is a strong critique of the Gandhian, I would say, framework in which you can emancipate women or Dalits and the question of empowerment. So we have to understand that Dr. Ambedkar made a very studied observation where he made it very, very clear that political democracy cannot last unless there lies at the base of it a social democracy. And this is very much true today, that you have the Prime Minister from the ramparts of the Red Fort literally begging people, at least treat women with dignity. If this is what is it at Azadi Ki Amrut Maha Utsav, and hence it is all the more important that Dr. Baba Saheb becomes very, very relevant to any issue of social change. I would say that Dr. Ambedkar resigned his seat in the cabinet because his ideas on the Uniform Civil Code, which later got diluted as the Hindu Code Bill, was not accepted. A man of tremendous character. And all of us know the politics. I would also say here that his ideas of emancipation reflected the Buddhist values of equality, self-respect, and education. He believed that Buddha treated women with respect and love and never tried to degrade them like other, thinkers in different philosophies. He also believed that women in Hindu culture and other social systems, he believed that first the issue of emancipation is very important. Most of you will ask me, Madam, what is emancipation? How would you differentiate it from empowerment? I would say emancipation is the minimum what we call as basic human rights. What are the basic human rights? Roti, kapada, makan. And beyond it, what access to health and education for every Indian. Is it available today? What happened in Rajasthan shows clearly that there is cruel discrimination. Absolutely. The boy is dead today. What would it happen if it was our own child? See, it is not our fault into what caste we are born, because we can't choose our caste. The caste comes because our parents or somebody belong to that. But can you discriminate me on that basis? That is the first thing I would like to place before you. His argument was it is in the interest of the nation that the mother ought to get a certain amount of rest during the prenatal period, and subsequently the principle of the bill is based entirely on this principle. The whole idea of maternity leave was something that he thought of during the framing of our constitution, which we have been able to bring in only today. Maybe he would have even supported paternity leave if men really do some work at home, right? Let me tell you, Indian men are very smart. I think something does to them in India they don't do, but the minute they go to America, they become so egalitarian. All household work they're ready to do. The minute they land back in India, it changes. So according to me, patriarchy exists. There's no caste in patriarchy. Otherwise, the women's reservation bill of 33 and 1/3% would have passed through parliament. I like the male unity. Now, what is Ambedkar's idea on equality? Because because gender justice is also equality. Equality in rights. Don't think I'm a feminist. I think many of you think feminist means we say that we want to be superior. No, we are asking for equal rights. I would rather say humanism, humanity. What you say that a man or anybody can have, women also should have, including transgenders. Because everybody is a human being, and sexual orientation is something personal. So I think this should not be the issue on which we discriminate. He also said political democracy cannot last if we do not, recognize the principles of equality, liberty, equality, and fraternity. So most of you know that the modern ideas that he placed into the Indian Constitution was greatly his contribution. Though there were other people, but he literally, I would say, pushed it through the Constituent Assembly. I don't know whether most of you have gone through the Constituent Assembly debates. There were a lot of conservatives who did not want many of the reforms that he has suggested. Because let me tell you, when women ask for their rights, all religions become, what to say, fragile. All gods become even more fragile. Right? You think a lady wants a maintenance from 60 rupees to 125 rupees. The religion is in danger. How can it be only when women want their rights that everybody gangs up together? And I think men have hijacked all religions. So this is very important. Now let me decode the Uniform Civil Code. What do we mean by a Uniform Civil Code? If we have to see it from the perception of Dr. Ambedkar, it is not a Hindu bill. Let me first say that. Uniform Civil Code, or if you see, is a proposal in India to formulate and implement personal laws for citizens to apply to all citizens equally, regardless of their religion, sex, gender, and sexual orientation. Currently, personal laws of various communities are governed by their religious scriptures, except maybe Hindu Code Bill, thanks to Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, that we got a lot of reforms. But other religions do not have that facility. So the question is, Uniform Civil Code, as most of you know, is also part of Article 14, that is part 4 of the Indian Constitution, under the directive principles, where it is one of the, issues that he wanted to. Here I want to place before you, we have a common criminal code. Why not a uniform civil code? We have a uniform criminal code. Do you punish people according to their religious law? We don't. Then why is the common civil code being contested to such an extent? Here, if you see the Constitution of India, where the prominent leaders, in which Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar pushed for uniform civil code, mainly due to the opposition from the religious fundamentalists and ignorant masses during the time. Some reforms that took place during the period brought in as a compromise, the Hindu Code Bill. After the resignation of Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, the Succession Act, the Hindu Marriage Act, and Minority and Guardianship Act, and the Adoptions and Maintenance Act, to name a few. If you see what are the cases that were very important, the Supreme Court had to deal with these cases. For the first time, most of you know, in 1985, it was the Apex Court of India that gave the directions to the Parliament to structure a uniform civil code, related to the case of Muhammad Ahmad Khan and Shah Bhanu Begum, that later on came to be known as the Shah Bhanu case to the country as a whole. The case of Shah Bhanu revolved around getting the maintenance amount from her husband once she got a triple talaq as per section 125 of the Code of Criminal Procedure. However, it was that the government reversed the decision related to her case by coming under, out with the Muslim Women's Right to Protection and Divorce Act of 1986. This was going backward. As per this act, a Muslim woman did not have the right to ask for maintenance under the previous act. Finally, in 2017, the triple talaq, as it was called, known to the community, was pronounced unconstitutional and against the law. Another important case that came to the limelight was the Sarla Mudgal case in the year of 1995, which brought forward the issue of bigamy and disagreement on matters of marriage under the existing personal laws. All of you know that Uniform Civil Code is still not a reality. We are still debating. If you see very clearly, there are a lot of, identity issues, like different castes, religions, tribes under the same roof. Equality would be a buzzword. But the question is, most of you should know that Goa had a uniform civil code and has a uniform civil code that was imposed by the Portuguese. So it's not that there are Muslims, Hindus, Christians, Buddhists, everybody, and everybody has accepted it. Why is it that this is not being done? See, uniformity of laws and the accomplishment of common objectives as per the Constitution meant making the people progressive and broad minded to accept the laws that are good for the society as a whole. See, most of us play Coco. I'm against two games that should not be our national games. One is Coco. Put the blame on the other. Till the problem doesn't come to your house, or till your daughter or somebody doesn't suffer under this, you are not a votary for this. The second is Kabaddi. I'm very much against pulling each other's legs. Please play more basketball, push each other up. Because this also brings out our own mental, because we are competing rather than collaborating and cooperating. And also looking at our national figures from very, very narrow lenses. I think the importance of a person, a legend, a doyen like Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar has truly not been given his space till very recently. And it is very important that such thinkers should be made a part of even our school education. I don't think there's anything to be frightened about. He was a great progressive. And I do agree that finally, if Indian society wants to do well, annihilation of caste is extraordinarily important. See, I don't understand when two human beings get married, how can it be intercaste? If a dog marries a pig, it is intercaste. Not when human beings marry human beings. See, I've not understood why are we so emotional of this identity that is very discriminatory, very unequal. And we are ready even to kill somebody to protect this so-called artificially constructed identity. Because the very people who defend the Indic civilization tell you that caste was not there earlier. We are even told that women had equal rights. And if most of you know, in Mahabharata, Vyasa is a Shudra. He's not a Brahmin. So if you see very clearly, if we see all this, what has gone wrong and where have we lost our connection with the whole idea of equality, liberty, and fraternity? This is something I think is very, very important. And I think here, I would only say that the Uniform Civil Code, Article of 44 of the Indian Constitution must be implemented if we want to pay a tribute. I don't think Baba Sahib Ambedkar wants statutes. I would rather tell you, please read his books and implement his ideas. Because he was one who talked about changes in marriage, divorce, inheritance, maintenance, adoption, succession of the property, where everyone is equal and the same code of conduct must be followed for all. And this is where it is extraordinarily important that he becomes even more relevant today. Because today, all over the world, most discriminations, especially gender, and there's no thing on social discriminations. It is more a merit-oriented society if you go. Why are we still hanging on to these things? I have never understood this is a malice of South Asia. It is not only with Hindu society, even if you convert to other religions, caste becomes very important. Because I'll tell you an incident that I had in Pune University where I used for teaching. I had a young, Muslim boy. He said, Madam, if I convert to Hinduism, I want to only become a Konkanastha Brahmin. I don't want any other grade. I said, you convert. No. Unless I get the highest, I won't. This whole obsession is something that has to be very careful. And let me tell all women that all women, according to the Manusmriti, are Shudras. So no woman can claim that she's a Brahmin or anything else. I believe it's only by marriage you get the husband's or the father's caste onto you. I think this is something that is extraordinary, I would say regressive. And here Baba Sahib Ambedkar, he was, please understand another thing, he was a deep, deep thinker. He's the only man to have got a doctorate in the Jawaharlal Nehru cabinet. And see how biased we are. Nehru, who failed, meaning couldn't complete, we call him Pandit. And Dr. B.R. Ambedkar is not called a Pandit. Whereas the real Pandit is the man who got a doctorate, not from India, from an American university when there was no, reservation also. So what does it show? The brilliance of mind has no caste roots. Its caste does not determine your intelligence nor gender. All of us are as stupid or as intelligent. So this is very important, and I think Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, if we are going to celebrate him today, the greatest contribution we can make to his memory is not only debate what he really wanted, and also to implement the Uniform Civil Code. And most of you know in his writings and everything, this code is already there. It was not implemented because, and he resigned on. Why not revisit it? Have, if you want, okay, let's say not only discussion within Parliament, why not a national discussion on this? And what more can you add to it? This can be the greatest contribution, because please remember, unless we have social democracy, our political democracy is a mirage. This is extremely important, and please remember that you cannot have a minority having all the rights when the majority does not have it. This is like islands of wealth. Nobody is an island. Please remember that sometime you will have a backlash that you will not be able to handle. I come from the south of the country, if most of you know, that our reservation policy preceded independence. 1919, we had the Justice Party, which brought in with the Minto Morley reforms the issue of reservation. Tamil Nadu is the only state at 69% reservation, 50% for the OBC, and SCs and STs 19%. And this is pre-independence. And most of you should know, when the Constitution came into being, the first case in the Supreme Court was on the issue of reservation. It was when a Brahmin girl was not given a seat in the Madras Medical College. She filed in the Supreme Court saying that as per the Constitution, I have equal rights, which is what Dr. Ambedkar gave, despite. And then there was agitation in Tamil Nadu saying that our reservation policy has to be respected. And hence, this is a Madras presidency at that time. And the first amendment to the Indian Constitution was brought in, saying, notwithstanding anything in Article 14, 1, 2, 3, 4, reservation for scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, women and children have to be respected. And I don't know whether most of you here know, in North India and South India, buses, 50% of the seats are reserved for women. Men cannot sit in them. If they sit, they have to get up when we come in, automatically. But women can sit in the common seats. That's not male seats. You think my seats are full? I can jump on to the other side. And somebody went to the court and they lost it under this amendment to the Indian Constitution. And I think this is very important. We need such protection. Most of you might say, why do women need reservation? It is because even today, please understand, in a university like Jawaharlal Nehru University, I am the first woman Vice Chancellor, which is, and out of 54 universities, only 6 women Vice Chancellors. And I am the only one from the reserved categories among the women. And I'm proud of it. I have I don't feel as though, I have to belong. And finally, I would like to end saying the latest Global Gender Gap Index 2022 has just come out. India has not been placed in very good light. We are 143 out of 146. In the labor market, women are totally disenfranchised. It's still a boys' club. 76.1% men graduates get jobs, but only 21.6% women have paid jobs. And all of you know most of the jobs that women do are unpaid for, like household work or cooking at home and all that. And usually most of you say, what? Aap ghar mein kya kaam karte hain? I want all the men to exchange the job of their wife for one day at home. How difficult you will know to look after kids. I have asked my husband. By the time I come home, he's fighting my daughter, and both of them are shouting and screaming at each other. He can't manage one child. And then he says, Tum hi le lo. And when kids say, I won't eat this, I won't eat that, the men cannot take it. See, every day your wife, all of you are here because your wives are very efficient. And don't tell me that this is tradition. Draupadi never cooked in the Mahabharata. It was Nala Bhima who cooked. And where are when in big hotels where it is paid, who are the cooks? No women are there. So it is just the issue of economics. So I think Baba Sahib Ambedkar was very, very right. And education and economic independence is extraordinarily important. And finally, the greatest tribute to gender justice would be implementing the Uniform Civil Code as envisioned by Baba Sahib in this. And I would only end by saying he has been one of the greatest, figures of the modern India. He made a paradigm shift, and it is this paradigm shift that we must carry forward. If you see the whole debates in Parliament, he makes it very clear that the most important thing for women is education. And education is because that is when they learn about their rights. Finally, I would say today, by paying my respects to this great man, that great human being, that this is, and also a humanist, that he is not only the architect of our constitution, but also the man who, opened up our conscience to human rights, equal rights, and all ideas of emancipation of Dalits, women, and other marginalized groups in India. It is time, at least 75 years of India's independence, that we take a resolve, that we seriously implement these ideas, which is a boon. Till today, there is no other Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar. Maybe we'll have many generations before we get one like him. And once, let me say, he was also a modernist. Though he criticized Brahmins, he never hated Brahmins. Please, this is very important. His second wife was a Brahmin, Savita Tai. And that is very important. Hit the issue, don't hate the individual. This is another thing that we have to learn from him. And once again, I thank you for your patient hearing. I thank the Ambedkar International Center for this. And I would say that Ambedkar, in the true Upanishadic way, brought us from Asato Ma Satgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Amruto Ma Amrutam Gamaya. That is, Mrityor Ma Amrutam Gamaya, meaning from ignorance to light, and from knowledge, from ignorance to knowledge, from darkness to light, and from death to immortality. So it is he who has been able to deliver us as a humanistic, modern nation. Once again, thank you. Namaskar. Jai Hind.
आप सबको नमस्कार। इस लेक्चर के बाद न मुझे कुछ कहना चाहिए और न कुछ कहने को है। कहना इस नाते चाहिए कि दोनों अधिकारी हैं, अधिकारी के सामने ज़्यादा नहीं कहते हैं। और कहने को कुछ नहीं है, क्योंकि इस लेक्चर के बाद चूँकि हम लोग जो अम्बेडकर को देख रहे हैं, करीब 8-9 डिसिप्लिन में बिल्कुल ब्रिलियंट स्कॉलरशिप है। हिस्ट्री है, पॉलिटिक्स है, इकोनॉमिक्स है, लॉ है, सोशियोलॉजी है, रिलीजन है। और ऐसा नहीं कि कोई रेफरेंस में जा रहे हैं, उसको डीपली अंडरस्टैंडिंग में एनालाइज कर रहे हैं हर चीज़ को। और मैम ने उन सारे विषयों को अपने लेक्चर में कवर करने की कोशिश किया और उस मैसेज देने की भी कोशिश किया है। तो इस नाते इस पर बोलने की कुछ और आवश्यकता नहीं है। हम 3 या 4 क्वेश्चन लेने की स्थिति में हैं, चूँकि समय आगे बढ़ चुका है। तो हम चाहते हैं कि 1 लाइन वाला क्वेश्चन हो और 10 लाइन वाला मैम का आंसर। तो ये अभिषेक, दूसरा आपका है माइक।
मैं डॉक्टर आरती, पोस्ट डॉक्टर फेलो, डैक। मैम मेरा 2011-12 में काम था हिंदू कोड बिल पे, एक नारीवादी अध्ययन उस पे काम था। और चूंकि मैम आपने बहुत अच्छे से समझाया, चूंकि हम वीमेन स्टडीज़ के जो स्टूडेंट्स हैं इस बात को समझते हैं, पिछले 10 सालों से जो मेरा अध्ययन रहा है, मैंने देखा है जेंडर प्रेशर्स बढ़ा है। जिस तरह से आपने देखा है हाथरस का केस है, भवरी देवी, स्टिल वी आर वेटिंग फॉर जस्टिस। मतलब राजस्थान वही एक है जहां जेंडर और कास्ट का सबसे ज़्यादा हमने ब्रूटल रूप देखा है। आज 26 ईयर कंप्लीट हो रहे हैं, जो इंद्र के साथ हुआ।
1 लाइन का क्वेश्चन
जी
आरती।
सर, तो मैम समझ गई हैं कि मैं क्या पूछना चाह रही हूँ। तो मैम ये जो प्रेशर है कि हम 75वीं वर्षगांठ मना रहे हैं, लेकिन कास्ट और जेंडर पे ये प्रेशर और क्यों बढ़ रहा है? इसको हम रिजॉल्व करने क्यों हम एक्सेप्ट नहीं कर पा रहे एज अ सिविलियन ऑफ इंडिया? थैंक यू।
जैसा कंफर्टेबल।
I'm happy that the woman got the first question. आप सही बता रहे हैं कि हिंदू कोड बिल बिकेम हॉच पॉच। जो बाबा साहेब का दृष्टिकोण, मेरी हिंदी बहुत अच्छी नहीं सो माफ़ कीजिए, बिकॉज मैं दक्षिण भारत से आती हूँ, सो मैं तमिल या तेलुगु में सोचकर अंग्रेजी में अनुवाद करके उसके बाद हिंदी में बोलती हूँ। आपके लिए हिंदी मातृभाषा है, सो आपको बहुत इजी। आप तमिल में बोलना चाहते तो आपको भी उतना ही मुश्किल होगा। सो इसीलिए माफ़ कीजिए कहीं हम कुछ व्याकरण में गलती या ऐसे के नहीं, नो वरी, बिकॉज यू नो इट्स गुड टू टॉक। हिंदी इज़ अ ब्यूटिफुल लैंग्वेज। और हिंदू कोड बिल का क्या परिस्थिति, जो बाबा साहेब की डेथ के समय में उन्होंने उनके ऑनर में पास करने की प्रयत्न किया, बट इट वॉज जस्ट द ऑपोजिट ऑफ व्हाट ही वांटेड। क्या हुआ उस समय? पीपल टेल मी देयर वर पॉलिटिकल प्रेशर्स। जो लोग पद पे थे, दे had 2 wives or something like this, so वो यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड जैसे, और इवन द हिंदू कोड बिल द वे ही वांटेड, that is right to divorce. Some people tell me who are scholars of Baba Sahib Ambedkar, he even talked about marital rape, which today it's become so controversial. And so he believed in that freedom of the woman having her way, that is especially maintenance में, property में. And he was also against this कन्यादान। हम शादी के समय पुत्रदान नहीं करते हैं, बट कन्यादान करते हैं। सो ही उसने कहा आप गोदान करते हैं, कन्यादान क्यों करते हैं? If you see some of his in Mool Nayak, his writings, he opposed it because it's degrading of the woman. Though we say there is other interpretation, but his interpretation was आप पुत्रदान कभी नहीं करते हैं, but क्यों गोदान के समान से? So I agree with you, मैं कि ये Hindu code bill was not a tribute to Baba Saheb. It was rather done hodgepodge. ये कुछ करने के लिए more a symbolism than real change in. इसीलिए आप सही कह रहे हैं. Till Rajiv Gandhi's period, we had that women's bill. उसके समय then National Women's Commission, ये सब आए हैं. But you're totally right. Even today, you see fight for custody, all this. Women are at a disadvantage. Though laws may be in their favor, society is still not ready to accept this idea, and it has to go through social difference. But I will also give credit to Indian men. आज मैं इतनी स्वातंत्र्य है मेरे पिताजी के, because of my father. You know, my father brought me up single-handedly. मेरी माँ, मैं बहुत छोटी थी जब मर गई, और मेरे पिताजी फिर शादी नहीं किया. लोग बोलते हैं पुरुष सब शादी करते हैं, बलिदान नहीं करते हैं बच्चों के लिए. मेरे पिताजी मेरे लिए बलिदान किया. So मैं ये नहीं मानती हूँ कि सब पुरुष नहीं, बहुत पुरुष. All our reformers are men. Baba Saheb is a man. So we should not divide that way. But I think it is very, very important that भारत में जो ह्यूमन राइट्स के लिए या मानवीय हकों के लिए हम जब लड़ते हैं, बाबा साहेब अम्बेडकर should be the what to say framework. Yeah, in Marathi we call it chaukot. What do you call framework in Marathi? In Hindi? We call chaukot. Chaukot means चौकोटा. फ्रेमवर्क वर्क को हम चौकोट बोलते हैं मराठी में, इसीलिए पूछ रही हूँ मैं. सो वो चौकोट मुझे तो बाबा साहेब अम्बेडकर का फ्रेमवर्क is much more realistic, much more egalitarian than any other contemporary, including Mahatma Gandhi. Because Mahatma Gandhi believed in Chaturvarna. So I do not accept when it comes to gender equality. And you're absolutely right. The Hindu Code Bill was a backward step rather than a forward step. Thank you.
Abhishek. Mike.
See, I think you're being very unjust to Gautama the Buddha, because you have to judge him from his times. One. Number two, he brought in the principles of Karuna, which I think that is empathy as we translate it into English. I think in 6th century BC, you have a person who, there are many criticisms, you can criticize the person, but I think Gautama the Buddha had a much more egalitarian and liberating principles. What the West you're talking about is more a 19th and 20th century phenomenon. So I think equating him with that, because the Abrahamic religions, according to me, are the ones that brought the downfall of women. Because even theoretically, they don't accept equality. And I think what to say, he was also an agnostic. You're talking about the social democracies of like Scandinavian countries today. I'll agree, today they are one of the most progressive countries, and we have a long way to go. I'm told by the gender gap, it'll take us 132 years to reach that level, which is quite frightening for anybody who's a woman in the gender gap. So my contention is, I think we have to teach, we have to socialize people from school level. How many books in Delhi or Uttar Pradesh or anyway includes the writings of Baba Sahib? Why not? See, unless you put it from childhood, it will not come. I think it's very important when we are doing the syllabus revision and other things. We have to do it very, very broad-based. And that is very, very important because he's our own part of our society. So I agree with you that what to say, while disagreeing you with the way you depicted, because I see Gautama the Buddha as one of the greatest liberators. And I think it is because of his descent that Hinduism went through a reformation under Adi Shankaracharya, where many people say that Advaita is nothing but Buddhism in a different format. You know, there are many who say that. So, but that brought in a lot of this thing, if you see. And also Buddhism is one religion, I'm told, it is very close to science, especially quantum physics and others. You must have read the book Tao of Physics by Frijo Capra. He uses a lot of Buddhist theories, especially Nagarjuna's Shunyata, as a part of a very high-level scientific theory. So you have to credit that both Buddhism and the Indic civilization is not anti-science and anti-technology. That is something I think we have to reconsider. And by looking at Baba Sahib, I think he was as modern as any of the countries of Sweden and Norway. Maybe he wanted India to be at that level or pace.
Firstly, introduce yourself. This.
मेरा नाम अशोक बंजारा है। मेरा एक छोटा सा सवाल है कि समान संहिता कानून जो लागू किया जा रहा है, सभी वर्गों का समान प्रतिनिधित्व के बगैर ये कानून किसी एक जाति समुदाय का और किसी एक धर्म का संपूर्ण भारत में प्रसार मात्र रह जाएगा और ये एक हिंदू कानून को पूरे देश में लागू करने जैसा ही होगा।
एक है आप यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड जैसे बाबा साहेब की संकल्पना थी, वह तो हिंदू कोड नहीं थी। बट आपका दूसरा भाग है कि आप करेक्ट कह रहे हैं, जब तक हम जातिवाद धर्मवाद सब है, बट एक है धर्म की 75 years में, जैसे द फर्स्ट इंटरजेक्टर सेड, religion has grown, rather religious identity has grown, because वो हम electoral politics में उसकी फायदा बहुत ज़्यादा हो रही है और जाति का भी एनिहिलेशन नहीं हो रही है, ज़्यादा हो रही, क्योंकि इलेक्ट्रल पॉलिटिक्स में उसका बेनिफिट्स आ रहे हैं। इसीलिए आपका जो व्हाट वुड आई से, आपका जो फियर था कि यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड सिर्फ जाति और धर्म के बीच में रह जाएगी, वह सच्ची है। तो इसीलिए हम बाबा साहेब अम्बेडकर जैसा सोचना चाहिए एज अ सिविल कोड। सिविल मीन्स इट हैज़ नथिंग टू डू विथ रिलीजन। आपको यूनिफॉर्म क्रिमिनल कोड है, वहाँ क्यों धर्म और जाति क्यों नहीं आती है? सिर्फ आपको क्यों भय है कि नागरिक कोड है समान, इसके लिए वो जाति, और क्योंकि आप सब लोग को क्या सोचते हैं को वो आ जाएगी तो सब फैमिली स्ट्रक्चर सब बिगड़ जाएंगे, डाइवोर्स मिल जाएगा। तो आप ऐसे मत सोचिए, आप सोचिए मैं और अच्छा ह्यूमन बीइंग बन जाऊं कि मेरी पत्नी मुझे छोड़कर नहीं चले जाएगी।
थैंक यू। लास्ट वन।
नमस्ते मैम, मैं धनंजय, मैं डॉक्टरल फेलो हूँ डॉक्टर अम्बेडकर इंटरनेशनल सेंटर पर। मैं लैंग्वेज एंड लॉ पर काम कर रहा हूँ। लैंग्वेज एंड लॉ, तो मेरा ऑब्जर्वेशन ये है लैंग्वेज एंड लॉ पर कि मेल ओरिएंटेड टर्म्स ज़्यादा यूज हुए हैं लीगल प्रोविजन में, लाइक ही, हिंदी में कुलपति, राष्ट्रपति। मेल ओरिएंटेड टर्म्स लीगल प्रोविजन एंड एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में ज़्यादा यूज है, लाइक ही, वर्ड ही इंक्लूड शी। लॉ ड्राफ्टर्स कहते हैं कि ही शी को इंक्लूड करता है। तो क्या मेल ओरिएंटेड टर्म्स यूज करने के पीछे पैट्रियार्कल इंटेंट रिफ्लेक्ट नहीं होता है? क्या यह एक सोची समझी साजिश है? आपका ओपिनियन क्या है?
बहुत अच्छा प्रश्न है। लैंग्वेज और लॉ का आपका जो पर्सपेक्टिव है वो बहुत सच है। एक है कि मैं महाराष्ट्र में हम कुलपति नहीं बोलते, हम कुलगुरु बोलते हैं। तो इसीलिए मैं जेएनयू में भी वो शब्द बदलने के लिए इच्छुक है और एग्जीक्यूटिव काउंसिल से कुलपति को कुलगुरु कर रही हूँ, क्योंकि गुरु में दोनों हैं। आप करेक्ट है, बट इवन लैंग्वेज में आप लीजिए, एक्सेप्ट तमिल, सब लैंग्वेजेस में जो गालियां हैं, अब्यूज है, वो सब स्त्री के बॉडी पे है। लाइक आप बोलते हैं कवर्ड को आप बैंगल्स पहना दीजिए, उनको बांगड़ियां पहना दीजिए। कि बांगड़ियां पहनना क्या बुरा है? आप लीजिए दशहरा क्या है? विक्ट्री ऑफ द फेमिनाइन ओवर द मैस्कुलाइन। सब पुरुष भगवान हार गए, तब शक्ति के पास या दुर्गा के पास आकर विनंती करते हैं कि आप जो दुष्ट शक्ति है जो भी है उसको आप मार दीजिए। सो ऐसे परंपरा में आप, बट तमिल में, तमिल एक ही भाषा है जहां गालियां दोनों के ऊपर है, मेल बॉडी के भी ऊपर है। यहाँ मैंने कह सकती हूँ, लोग बोलेंगे मैडम बहुत गलत बात कर रहे, बट इक्वल है। बट आप दूसरा सब भाषा लीजिए, सब लेडी की जो स्टीरियो, जो आप लेडी का क्वालिटी सोचते हैं, डरपोक है, ये है वो है, बट इन रियलिटी आपका मदर या माँ इज द मोस्ट करेजियस पर्सन। सो भाषा आप राइट है, भाषा पेट्रियार्कल रही है, इसीलिए ये आई है। बट ये सब आप हम निकलना चाहिए और लैंग्वेज न्यूट्रल बनाना चाहिए। जैसे चेयरमैन नहीं चेयरपर्सन, वो वैसे ये कॉन्शियसली। और आप टेक्स्ट बुक में, मुझे मालूम नहीं जैसे यहाँ हो रहे, बट महाराष्ट्र में हमने सब ये पिताजी ऑफिस जाता है, माँ घर में रसोई में खाना बनाती है, ये सब निकाल दिया। पिताजी भी करते हैं, माताजी भी करते हैं। सो बच्चों को वो मेंटल ये है छोटे से बदल जाती है। और घर में भी मैं बोलती हूँ कि आप आपका माँ, बहन और पत्नी को आप रेस्पेक्ट किया तो बच्चों भी रेस्पेक्ट करेंगे। आप उनको बहुत what to say, if you treat them badly then children also learn from it. So मैं कहती हूँ कि you have to do it individually. इसीलिए मैं कह रही हूँ nobody is born an oppressor, but about language you're absolutely right. इसको बहुत, इसीलिए मैं कहती हूँ हिस्ट्री, his story, अब हर स्टोरी बनाना चाहिए। एक स्त्री, आपको मालूम है दक्षिण में एक फेमस राइटर है तेलुगु में जो साहित्य अकादमी अवार्ड भी जीते, नारल वेंकटेश्वर राव, वो कहा रामायण नहीं है, सीता आना चाहिए। सीता नहीं, कैसे रामायण की वो कथा लिखना चाहती है, वो कैसी लिखी होंगी, ये भी बहुत महत्व है। तो इसीलिए आपने बहुत अच्छा प्रश्न किया, बट इसका चेंज आना चाहिए और ये भाषा में बहुत देर लगेगी, बट हम शुरू करना चाहिए।
थैंक यू मैम। सर,
सारी राजनीतिक पार्टियां डॉक्टर अंबेडकर साहब को तो बहुत मानती हैं, लेकिन जो उनके आइडियाज है बराबरी के, महिलाओं को समानता देने के, उसके बारे में किसी प्रकार की महिलाओं की तरफ से भी जो पहल होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि घर में तो बहुत मुखर है और महिला हर बहन, हमें ये राय
क्योंकि जब सत्ता, पावर और पैसा आ जाते हैं, आप सब इगैलिटेरियन इश्यूज भूल जाते हैं। इसीलिए आप देखो प्रधानमंत्री का बहुत पैथेटिक, लिटरली इज अपीलिंग फ्रॉम द रैम्पर्ट्स, आप एटलीस्ट स्त्री को सम्मान तो दीजिए। सो आप देख सकते हैं कि अभी भी समानता नहीं है। द विमेन्स बिल थी 33 and 1/3% रिजर्वेशन, आई है? आज तक नहीं आई। 50, मैं 50 के लिए हूं एज पर पॉपुलेशन, बट कहाँ आएगी? 30% ही नहीं दे रहे हैं। सो इसीलिए सर बताना बहुत इजी है। आपको मालूम है बहुत पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज ऐसे सोचते हैं कि लेडीज को खड़ा कर दिया तो वे विनिंग कैंडिडेट नहीं है। हमारा पॉलिटिक्स में इतना हिंसा और पैसा और सब आते हैं, वो सोचते हैं कि लेडीज नहीं कर सकते हैं, बट दैट इज रॉन्ग। बहुत दादा लोग हमारे महाराष्ट्र में, देयर हैव बीन विमेन किंग पिन्स आल्सो। सो and please remember, do most of you know psychologically what he says is a point, the woman is the stronger gender. मैं सब पुरुष के एक पूछते हैं, please go through one pregnancy, if you come out alive I'll give you the Nobel Prize for peace. The world famous gynecologist, he said women are the stronger sex because they are able to tolerate such high levels of pain. So every woman is a Buddhist, sir, because Buddha ने कहा कि pain is a part of life.
Last question, ma'am. This is the last one.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया मैम। आपको सबसे पहले मेरा जय भीम। मेरा एक प्रश्न है, लेकिन प्रश्न नहीं, एक जिज्ञासा ही है। मैं लक्ष्मीबाई कॉलेज दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय में हिंदी पढ़ाती हूँ। अभी यहाँ मुझे भी लगा कि लग रहा है कि असमानता हो रही है, क्योंकि प्रश्न महिला की तरफ से एक ही गया था, पुरुषों की संख्या ज़्यादा थी। हालांकि मैं बहुत लंबा लंबा हाथ खड़ा कर रही थी, पर मुझे समय नहीं मिल रहा था, तो मैंने रिक्वेस्ट किया। आपका सर बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। मैम, एक जिज्ञासा है मेरी। आपने बहुत अच्छा वक्तव्य दिया और सारी चीज़ें बाबा साहब के बारे में बताई वुमेन्स को लेकर, लेकिन जब हम पढ़ते और पढ़ाते हैं और अपने शिक्षण संस्था में जब हम बात करते हैं, कहीं बात दूर की बात हम नहीं कर रहे हैं, हम शिक्षण संस्था की ही बात कर रहे हैं, कि बाबा साहब ने महिलाओं के ऊपर इतना कुछ सामाजिक, एक तरह से ये सामाजिक क्रांति थी, महिला आगे आए तो सामाजिक क्रांति, इतनी बड़ी सामाजिक क्रांति उन्होंने किया और महिलाओं को इतना बड़ा दर्जा दिलाया। हर क्षेत्र में अगर उसकी गिनती की जाए तो कम पड़ जाएगी। लेकिन मैम, मुझे कभी कभी बहुत विडंबनापूर्ण लगता है कि मतलब इसको माइंड मत करिएगा, स्वर्ण जाति की जो स्त्रियां हैं वो आज भी बाबा साहब के इस सामाजिक क्रांति को एक्सेप्ट नहीं करती हैं। उसका रीजन क्या है मैम, प्लीज?
आपने बहुत वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन पूछा, प्रश्न पूछा। हायर अब क्या हो गया, स्त्री को देयर इज नो सिस्टरहुड। हम स्त्रियों सब हमारी आइडेंटिटी कास्ट में या फैमिली में उसमें चली गई। अपर कास्ट women, I would tell you something, are more oppressed than the lower caste. I will tell you this. And वो नहीं मानते हैं because see, हम even today caste is a reality. हम बोल सकते हैं caste annihilation हो गए, ये हो गए, वो हो गए, नहीं है। क्योंकि बिकॉज प्लीज रिमेंबर, एंड स्पेशली मैं महाराष्ट्र से बहुत, महाराष्ट्र और तमिलनाडु में काम किए हैं, और वहाँ मैंने स्पेशली महाराष्ट्र में देखा कि ब्राह्मणिकल सोसाइटी को दे डू फील दैट दे आर एक्सक्लूसिव, और दैट एक्सक्लूसिविटी लेडीज में भी आ जाते हैं, और दे लुक एट बाबा साहेब नॉट एज अ नेशनल लीडर बट अ दलित लीडर, विच इज रॉन्ग. क्योंकि हम नेहरू को ब्राह्मण लीडर नहीं देखते ना, या सरदार पटेल को क्षत्रिय लीडर ऐसे नहीं लगते हैं. फिर क्यों सिर्फ बाबा साहेब को आप वो कर रहे हैं? इज इट बिकॉज यू आर सो स्कैर्ड ऑफ हिज थॉट्स that you think that if you accept it you might, you have to accept that he's as superior or even superior than you. So I think it is more a psychological game that is being played, because I think he is the greatest icon India has produced. And by putting him as a caste leader is the greatest mistake that modern India is committing. Because hamare hi jo, as they say, a prophet is not respected in his own land. In the same way, it will be a great mistake हम नहीं किया तो. अब हम शुरू कर रहे हैं, but इस आंदोलन को आगे लेकर जाना है. And let us leave, see, upper caste is a minuscule minority. But पहली, I think we need unity among all women. स्त्रियों को आगे आना चाहिए कि हम स्त्री पहले हैं. Every human being has a multiple identities. कि आपका जाति है, आपका भाषा है, आपका धर्म है, आपका लिंग है. So I would say that women should put their gender identity as their first identity. And I think it is here the greatest liberator for women is Baba Sahib, whatever caste you come from. If you want an Indian framework of modernity, he was even postmodern. It is only Baba Sahib Ambedkar. There's no other Indian leader who is as revolutionary and who has written so brilliantly. How many volumes have you brought out of his writing? Show me one Indian political leader who has written as much as Baba Sahib has written. Give him the credit. अब आप सब API काउंट करते हैं ना, API लगा दिया तो बाबा साहेब अंबेडकर should have won the Nobel Prize. So I totally agree with you. I think we should keep detractors out. They will automatically join. Brahmins are very smart, I'll tell you, because I'm married to one. Very smart they are. They will assimilate when they know it is very favorable.
थैंक यू मैम. बेसिकली जिस विजन और थॉट को डॉक्टर अंबेडकर सोचे विचारे हैं उसको ये सरकार प्रैक्टिस कर रही है और बहुत अच्छे ढंग से कर रही है. उसके कारण कई हैं. मैं एक ही उदाहरण नारी शक्ति का जो मैम ने उदाहरण दिया है, और नारी शक्ति बेसिकली कोई ये नहीं है. JNU को पहला VC नहीं मिला है. 135 साल में इलाहाबाद यूनिवर्सिटी को फर्स्ट वीमेन VC मिला हुआ है. जामिया को भी मिला हुआ है. पहली मिनिस्ट्री होगी इसमें. आप मेल फीमेल पे भी थोड़ी देर के लिए मत जाइएगा, क्योंकि यू मेजर द नंबर ऑफ मेंबर ऑफ वीमेंस इन दी इंदिरा गांधी मिनिस्ट्री. उनके काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्ट्री में आप देखिए कितनी कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर थी, और आप मोदी के कैबिनेट में देख लीजिए कितनी कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर हैं. पहली में 6 है, अभी 11 हैं. वो एक विजन है, एक सोच है. मैं ऐसे तमाम उदाहरण है. आपकी CSIR संस्था है जिसमें 80 साल बाद पहली बार वीमेंस हेड को मिला है. सेना में तो एक विजन है, मतलब हमको ये मंच उसका है नहीं, लेकिन मोदी सेकेंड एम्बेक्टराइट हो सकते हैं इस दिशा में. ऐसा जिस तरह से सोशल जस्टिस को प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं, वो उस दिशा में सरकार बढ़ रही है, और उसका परिणाम धीरे धीरे कहीं ना कहीं सोशल इंटीग्रेशन, सोशल जस्टिस और उसका अगला एस्पेक्ट जो सामाजिक समरसता होगी उसमें दिखेगा. लेकिन टाइम लगता है, 8 साल में कुछ इतना जल्दी नहीं हो सकता है. यहाँ पे विषय रखने के लिए हम इसको जून से प्लान कर रहे थे, और आज हो पाया है, तो निश्चित रूप से कुछ व्यस्तता रही होगी. मैम ने जो समय दिया और जो इस तरह के पूरा वक्तव्य दिया, उसके लिए मैम का आभार. अपने डायरेक्टर सर को भी आभार जो अपॉर्चुनिटी दिए और एक इस प्रोग्राम को आगे इनिशिएट करने का मौका दिया. हमारी MS उपमा श्रीवास्तव मैम नहीं आ पाए किसी कारणवश, उनको भी धन्यवाद. और यहाँ पे उपस्थित आप सभी बंधु और भगिनी सभी लोगों को हृदय से धन्यवाद. इस नाते कि छुट्टी का दिन है बहुत मेहनत से आप यहाँ आए हैं, इसके लिए भी आपको धन्यवाद। और इस शर्त के साथ, देखिए मैं मास्टर हूँ, बिना असाइनमेंट दिए छोड़ता नहीं हूँ, ठीक है। असाइनमेंट ये है कि मैम ने कहा इसको क्या होता है, नेशनल डिबेट के रूप में जब चीज़ों को ले चलेंगे धीरे धीरे, कोई चीज़ गलत सही नहीं होती, उस समाज का अपना यूटिलिटी होती है। अगर यूटिलिटी में उसको अच्छा लगता है तो एक्सेप्ट कर लेता है, नहीं अच्छा होता है तो उसको रिजेक्ट कर देता है। सोसाइटी अपनी ढंग से अगर आइडियाज़ में और तमाम चीज़ों में एक नेशनल डिबेट खड़ा होगा और हम हेजिटेट नहीं करेंगे, हम कंट्रोवर्शियल नहीं मानेंगे, तो निश्चित रूप से जेंडर जस्टिस यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड का काम आएगा। ये कैसे होगा? आप अपने अपने स्तर पे छोटे छोटे काम, जैसे हम लोग असाइनमेंट बच्चों को देते हैं, उसी ढंग से अपने स्तर पे ही करना, कोई आके उसको दूसरा नहीं करेगा। इसके बाद अपने जो हमारा डीएनएम है, हमारा नेशनल फाउंडेशन अम्बेडकर डीआईसी है, यहाँ पे सभी कर्मचारी बंधु जिनके सहयोग से ये काम हुआ है, संपन्न हुआ, उन सबको आभार, उन सबको धन्यवाद। बाहर चाय की भी व्यवस्था है, आप सब शामिल होइए। मैं क्वेश्चन में टाइम इस नाते आप लोगों को नहीं दे रहा था, मैं चाह रहा था मैं मैक्सिमम टाइम चाय पे दें, तो वहाँ ज़्यादा अच्छे से बात होती, यहाँ तो क्वेश्चन आंसर सेशन था। थैंक यू मैम, थैंक यू टू ऑल ऑफ यू।